And then I'm like, do you think I'm gonna waste my time quoting everything you've said about trans people? And she says, well, I can't grow and learn if I'm not told what's wrong. So here's the video. So I didn't want to have to make this video. I've been debating on whether or not I should make it for probably longer than you would expect. Just want to say right now, I'm sorry if there's noises in the background. I just woke my rats up and they are very loud today. So I don't usually make videos directly about one person because I don't want to encourage people to bully them at all. I really don't want that. But the way I've gone about this video is that I've structured it as a reacted to transphobia video. And I'm not here to hate on Arielle. Every point I've made is backed up by evidence, so I'm not really here to slander anyone. I just want to put some points across that I think people just haven't really talked about. And obviously, do not send hate to Arielle. I won't be proud of you for sending hate. I don't want you to send hate. That's not something I want, and that's not something anyone should be thinking about right now. I am showing you these videos and I'm showing you these tweets so that you don't have to watch them on her accounts and on her Twitter. Like, this is a space, this is your Arielle content right here. The reason I actually came around to making this video is because I felt like I had to, because she's someone in our community, as in the LGBT community, and also the YouTube community. I'm struggling to say community, I'm sorry. She's somebody within these two communities that is doing a lot of harmful things, and I don't feel like enough people are telling her that it's wrong. And that's not to say that there aren't people out there that are telling her what she's doing is harmful, but she doesn't listen, and she doesn't care. Something that's really pushed me over the edge into making this video is that people within our community have made videos and have made tweets defending her transphobia as if it's okay, and that's like, not to be an activist, but I'm not okay with that. I'm just really uncomfortable with the idea that she is invited to YouTube events, and she's invited into spaces where trans people will be, and if she's invited, she will encourage her viewers to be there. And I'm not going to get into it right now, we'll talk about that later, but you know, transphobes being around trans people is not a good idea. Like I said, this is a reaction to transphobia video. I'm not here to put her out as a bad person. I'm just showing you these tweets and these videos that I think are very harmful to the trans community and to the LGBT community as a whole, because, you know, trans people are already othered, even within the community itself, which is not fair and encouraging, and allowing it to happen is just not on. Not gonna lie, it's not on. So I'm sure a lot of you by now are probably really confused. You're like, who the hell is Arielle? No, who is she? So she started off her channel as just a lesbian YouTuber, she made videos about LGBT stuff, she made videos about sex, all that stuff. But now it's pretty safe to say that predominantly her content is about trans people, whether that be on YouTube or Twitter. These videos were all from the last 3 months. Don't worry, there's plenty more. When I say she only talks about trans people, I don't mean that's the only thing she talks about, but it's pretty much the majority of it. And I don't know, but nowadays I feel like it's just normal for people to, you know, say whatever they want about trans people and get away with it. Which, you know, it's not okay. So this whole obsession with trans people, I feel like started off when she made this video about genital preferences. She pretty much says she wouldn't feel comfortable having sex with a trans woman because she's a lesbian and she's not into penis. And it's fine to quickly say your part, like, hey, like, I'm just not comfortable sleeping with someone who is trans. To a lot of people that's transphobic, and I understand why they see it like that, like, I get it. I wouldn't be offended if somebody didn't want to sleep with me because I'm trans. I just get on with it and find someone who does. It's not difficult. But there's a difference between simply saying, like, nah, not into it, and repeatedly talking about it so much, all the time, 24/7. And before someone comes and says, like, hey, why can't cis people talk about trans people? That's not what I'm saying. I don't have an issue with cis people advocating for trans rights, or, you know, like, promoting and supporting trans people. But that's not what she does. I have an issue with people speaking over trans people. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but being a lesbian doesn't give you the right to speak for trans people. In the same way that me being gay doesn't give me the right to speak for lesbians, because they have a different experience to me. I can support lesbians, but, you know, speaking over them and not allow them to speak for themselves is kind of just like bad behavior. I'm trying not to swear. I'm trying not to swear. And this is just the introduction of the video. I really haven't got into anything at all. But I just want to say that I have a really big issue with the fact that she brands herself as a women's rights activist and as an LGBT activist, because you can't be a women's rights activist if you don't advocate for all women. If you don't advocate for trans women, you don't advocate for all women. The same thing goes for being an LGBT activist. If you don't advocate for trans people, you're not an LGBT activist. Like, shut up. That's not, like, what are you doing? So that was the introduction. We're gonna get into her transphobia right now. I started off with 2 little openers so I could cool down a bit. These are 2 just, like, cute little remarks, you know, just cute things she said about trans people. I just wanted to, you know, I just wanted to reel you in slowly and get you used to this, because there's a lot of stuff coming in. So this is the first example. This was a tweet from ages ago. I'm not quite sure when it was tweeted, but, like, it's an old tweet. Ain't nothing wrong with being misgendered. Genders are equally beautiful in their own ways. This is not really transphobia. It's ignorant of, like, trans people's experiences with misgendering and how it triggers their dysphoria and how that can be, you know, like a painful thing. But I don't think it's transphobia. I think she was just, you know, being a bit silly. It's Just a stupid tweet I wanted to mention to lighten the mood. There's another one, and this is also an old post. I didn't include other old posts in, like, the full, you know, video. And she may have changed her views since posting this thing on Facebook, I believe. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw this post, I thought it was fake and that it wasn't real, and then I asked my followers, and they found a link to the actual post, so I'll link that in the description. It is real. Lol at trans men getting offended at me saying they look similar to butch lesbians. Butch women are masculine. Take it as a compliment. There's no such thing as looking like a man, as the word man is an individual identity. So is the word woman. If you're upset at people not telling you you look like a man, think of all the young gay boys who are bullied saying they look like a woman. You know what you look like? You look like you. Now shut up, lol. There are obviously, like, so many things wrong with this. I find this funny. Why would you tell a trans man that he looks like a lesbian? That's like me saying she looks like a camp gay boy because she has long hair. Like, why are you offended, Arielle? Camp gay boys are feminine, isn't that what you want? Trans men don't want to look like lesbians because we're men, not girls who like girls. She says take it as a compliment, but where is the compliment? And the difference between telling a gay man that he looks like a woman and telling a trans man that he looks like a woman is transphobia. I thought that was obvious. You want to tell a trans man that he looks like a woman because you don't care about invalidating his identity as a man. So whatever. These are old posts. May have changed her mind. And I don't want to judge somebody based on things that they've said in the past, because there's always opportunity to change and to grow, and I don't want to, you know, keep somebody in that little box of not being woke enough. I'm also not a fan of cancel culture at all. If Arielle changed her behavior, sure, I would be, like, fine with that. Like, apology accepted. But it's clear from what I'm about to show you that she hasn't changed. Jesus. This is going to be a long video. So my first point to make on her transphobia is her opinions on pre-transition trans people. And if you've managed to get this far through the video without knowing what the definition of transgender is, here you go. And it seems that maybe Arielle is a bit confused about what being transgender is. So here's a fun video that she made reacting to my friend Jamie, who is trans. What a surprise. That's so unexpected.
I am a guy, and my partner is a cis woman, meaning we are a straight couple.
You're a straight couple in the eyes of society because you look male, even though, again, your chromosomes are probably XX. Like, I don't know what your chromosomes are, Jamie, and I'm not trying to be triggering to you, but if people saw you on the street, they would assume that you are a male. You're presenting as a man, you pass for cis, is really what I'm trying to say. So yeah, in the eyes of society, you pass as a man, your girlfriend passes as a woman, you would be seen as a straight couple.
According to the LGBT Alliance's beliefs, we would be categorized as lesbians.
If you're a trans guy that has not gone on testosterone and that has not had any permanent body changes and you're still calling yourself a straight couple, I question that.
So pretty much what she's saying in this video is, hey guys, your sexuality and your gender are determined by how other people perceive you. Which is obviously not true at all. Like, that's not how it works. So many issues. Just want to put this out there if you haven't realized by now, but like saying trans men aren't men and saying trans women aren't women because they haven't transitioned yet is transphobic. As the definition says, being trans is about your brain and your body not matching up and creating this like disconnect. Somebody who hasn't transitioned yet will definitely feel that disconnect. They are trans. It would be correct to say that trans men aren't cis men and that trans women aren't cis women, but that's not what she's saying at all. She's saying trans men aren't men and trans women aren't women. And I just want to put this out there. Not everybody who's transgender feels the need to medically transition. Like, I'm on testosterone, I got my tits chopped off, but some trans guys don't feel the need to go on testosterone or get their tits chopped off. I haven't had bottom surgery. Does that make me a woman? In your eyes? Is that it? And also a thing that people seem to ignore is that some people can't medically transition. Whether it be for financial issues or medical issues or social issues in your inner circle, it's a thing that people go through where they can't transition medically even though they want to. Healthcare is expensive in a lot of places, and also, in a lot of places, the waiting list for medical intervention for trans people is ridiculously long. Some people have medical issues that prevent them from being able to go on testosterone or estrogen. I know a few people that haven't been able to get surgery because their mental health isn't good enough, or because their physical health isn't good enough. That doesn't make them not trans, it just means that physically they can't go through it. And honestly, this video just makes me question her views on the trans people she knows and the trans people she calls her friends. Like, does she think they're not trans unless they've had surgery? Here's a tweet that I found, and yes, it's an older tweet, but that video I just showed you was a few months ago, so her opinions have not changed. She tells someone, maybe it's time for you to change the way you see lesbianism. This person replies, the way I see lesbianism is girls who are into girls and not other genders. I don't know what definition you want me to change that to. Arielle says, the issue is that the word woman is being redefined and not everyone is on board with that. And it's being used against women who like vag. The person responds, wait, LMAO, I'm sorry you're taking issue with the word woman being redefined. to include trans women? And then Arielle responds, to include non-op or pre-hormone trans women, yes. They're not women until they've had surgery? Oh, just seen at the bottom. This is from August 2017, so not even that long ago. Especially for a full-grown adult. So here's the thing, right? What if I told her she needed medical intervention before she could call herself a lesbian? You can literally relate these terrible statements back to sexuality, which is a topic she's apparently so passionate about. That's literally like me saying, Arielle, you weren't a lesbian until you had sex with a woman. Like, what? Being trans is similar to sexuality in that it's something that you know of yourself. You don't have to do anything in order to be that sexuality or to be transgender. It's just something that is a part of you. Also, I'm not going to get into it because that could be an entire separate video, which I'm not going to make, by the way, but she is obsessed with other people's genitals. It's really weird. It's something that comes into conversation too often. It just makes me uncomfortable, especially when relating back to trans people, because usually trans people have dysphoria about their genitals. So bringing the fact up that they don't have the genitals that they really feel they should have, it's just uncomfortable and it's just disrespectful. So we've talked about her issues with pre-transition trans people. Let's go on to her views on non-binary people. So going back to the idea that she speaks over people, she's got this thing with non-binary people where she doesn't understand what being non-binary is, so she tries to tell non-binary people what being non-binary should be. Here's a little thought, Arielle. Non-binary people know what non-binary is, and they don't need a transphobic lesbian to tell them what they are. Here's a fun tweet. This is a quote from somebody whose Twitter @ is Rose of Dawn.
Just want to let you know this tweet is from 2020. The timestamp did not fit in the whole screenshot.
Non-binary people who do more than simply change their pronouns need to reclaim the word and come up with a definition, because right now, the identity they have is a joke. It's a joke. If you're non-binary and you've transitioned medically, you need to come up with a new word, because it's confusing the transphobic lesbians. And here's another thing. Being non-binary is not a joke identity. What is a joke is you trying to tell non-binary people what they are and who they should be. And I'm sure non-binary people don't tell you who you are and tell you that you should change the definition of lesbian because they don't understand your experience. Also, the word non-binary does have a meaning. There is a definition. If you did a quick Google search, you could easily find it. I'll just give it to you right here. A non-binary person is somebody who doesn't identify fully as a man or fully as a woman. That's it. Not all non-binary people are gonna look the same, or talk the same, or walk the same way that not all lesbians are gonna be the same as each other. And it's really not that hard to not speak about stuff that you don't understand. Maybe if you were confused, you should ask actual non-binary people what their experience is, and not talk over them and tell them what their experience should be. So enough about her views on non-binary people. We're getting into TERF territory. Not only is Arielle a transphobe, but she is a TERF, which obviously just makes the situation worse, considering that she calls herself an LGBT advocate. She's not. TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. Feminists are supposed to advocate for people's rights. They're not there to encourage people to discriminate against others who have less rights. If you needed more clarification, TERFs are radical feminists who don't include trans women in their conversations about women, unless it's to shit on them. They're pretty much glorified transphobes because, yes, they're transphobes, but also, they're feminists. They're not. They don't think trans men are men, and they don't think trans women are women. Does that ring a bell? Anyone's name coming up? And I would call her a TERF because the definition fits her and it's absolutely what her personality is entirely like. But she did tweet this. But I guess she doesn't identify as a TERF, so we'll just, So she sent out this poll on Twitter a few months ago, maybe it was last month. Is TERF a slur? And 61% of her followers said it was. And you could say that, she was just asking a question. Maybe she was just interested on, what people thought. But it's a question that shouldn't have to be asked. It's like saying racist is a slur. It's not. TERF is an accurate acronym to describe a feminist who doesn't include trans women, and who is most likely a transphobe. Not most likely a transphobe, absolutely a transphobe. I actually got that comparison from this Twitter user. They said this to her, and she blocked them. So I'm not really sure what that says. And also, I don't really want to be like, oh, does she think TERF is a slur? Ooh, when I have no proof. Here's a tweet she liked that confirms that she thinks TERF is a slur, which really shows her true colours. So why would she think TERF is a slur? Is it because she is one and she doesn't really want to accept that it's transphobic and disgusting? And again, not to go off about feminism, because that's not what this video is about, but if you're not willing to include all types of women in the conversation about feminism, then you're not a feminist. And not to be preachy, but trans women are probably one of the most vulnerable types of women nowadays, thanks to people that pose and spread the same views that you're doing on a public forum without the consequences and encouraging others to do the same. It's just not good. So maybe she doesn't identify as a TERF because TERFs identify as feminists, and maybe if she knows that she's excluding trans women from the conversation, then she's not a feminist? so maybe that's why. And if you needed even further proof, I'm sorry to harp on about this. I just don't want people saying that I'm coming up with rubbish, because what I'm saying is true. It has proof. Here's something disgusting that she did a few days ago. Why do I speak like that? Sorry about that, my camera died, so I may look a bit... What I was saying was that in a discussion about the difference between trans people committing crimes, which, by the way, it's a bit scary how she has so many links readily available for examples of trans people committing crimes. It's a bit weird to hate trans people that much, that you just have, like, links saved about them committing bad things, you know? Just... whatever. In a discussion about there being a difference between trans people committing crimes and cis people committing crimes and then claiming to be trans, because they're cis guys who want either an easier time in prison because they're surrounded by women, or because, you know, they're sexual predators and they, you know. But in a discussion, including trans people, by the way, about that, she used a link from a Terf website as a source. Reminding you again, there was a trans man in that conversation using a Terf website. You know why? That's like sending a source from the KKK website to a black person, or sending a source from the Westboro Baptist Church website to a gay person. It's just a bit weird, and like, surely you try and hide your derogatory opinions? Are you trying to make it obvious that you're a transphobe? Is that what you're doing? Here's the website, by the way, the link is in the description, so if you go on the website, you'll find our approach. Women are human beings. We believe that gender identity ideology movement dehumanizes women and girls. Women are not a concept or a feeling that resides in a man's brain. A costume, a performance, a state of nirvana a man can achieve through pharmaceutical drugs or cosmetic surgery, or a dysphoria that haunts a man's brain. I'm not going to read any further, you can check it out if you want. But, you know, there's a difference between trans people committing crimes and cis people pretending to be trans to commit crimes. I'm not really sure what her point was. So, stop drinking right now, please, I love you, but you're loud. How thirsty are you? Hello, sorry, I had a 10-minute break. The rat was drinking and I was stressed. So we've talked about her being a TERF, now let's get on to her Twitter behaviour. So I think it's safe to say her Twitter behaviour is appalling. You've seen these tweets I've shown you, and honestly, I've researched for hours and hours, and I probably haven't even found the worst things that she said. This is just stuff that I've found myself. I think she does is that she says she wants people to tell her what she's done wrong. You know, to make it seem to people as if she's open to listening, but she's not. She actually blocks a lot of trans people and a lot of cis people for interacting with her and telling her what she's done wrong. Here's a few examples I found in about a minute of just looking through her Twitter indirects. Here's a tweet that my friend Jamie made. Some people need to stop talking about trans issues when they really don't know what they're on about. Especially people sat in transphobic echo chambers full of yes men. PSA, there are better ways to get views that don't involve shitting on an entire community. And Arielle responds, wanna talk about it? Wanna talk about it. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about... Stop! Jamie responds, I would, but would you actually listen? Based on how blinkered you've been with the majority of the trans community attempting to educate you, it seems I'd have better luck trying to reason with a brick wall. And here's the thing, there have been so many videos explaining what she's done wrong. There have been so many tweets atting her, explaining what she's done wrong, and she's blocked these people. And here's a fun activity for you to do. Type in her name on Twitter, and scroll through all the tweets about her, and tell me she hasn't seen any of those tweets and considered, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I actually had an interaction with her on Twitter a few months ago, which you can find. She said, sorry that we disagree, wish you nothing but love. And I said, if you wish me love, then you should give a shit about the stuff you say about the trans community. But you don't. She says, please tell me what you don't like that I've said. And then I'm like, do you think I'm gonna waste my time quoting everything you've said about trans people? And she says, well, I can't grow and learn if I'm not told what's wrong. So here's the video. So many people, and I mean so many people, have tried to tell her what she's doing is wrong. People within the trans community, people that aren't in the trans community. If she was willing to listen, she would have stopped it by now. And to be honest, it kind of just seems like she only interacts with people who are trying to tell her what she's done wrong if they have followers. I showed you those tweets from those people that she blocked. They don't have a large platform. But as soon as me or Jamie say anything, she comes right in and she's like, oh, tell me what I've done wrong. And she's also like fake nice, which is just really manipulative. She can't go around saying trans women aren't women, and she can't go around saying that trans people aren't trans until they've medically transitioned, and then come along with, hey, wish you nothing but love. Here's an example of Corey saying something to her because, you know, she's just... Ugh, okay. You've had every single chance to listen and change, and yet you've refused to. You are a brick wall, and responding to tweets saying, let's talk about this, doesn't change that. Because you've shown that even after being taught why you're being rude and exclusionary, you still do it. Do you know what her response is? Wish you well, Corey. Like, You're not just going to acknowledge anything that you just said? And to be honest, the same thing happened to me a few months ago when I had that interaction that I just showed you about. I asked her a question like, how can you not see that this is transphobic? And she just didn't reply. So here's the last thing I want to talk about. I'm sorry this video is so long. I'll try and cut it down as short as possible. But one of my biggest problems with this entire situation is that trans people are promoting her and supporting her. I think it's disgusting that she will continuously disrespect trans people and then, you know, invite them onto her channel. Just for talk. Just for discussion. And I'm not going to name any names of these trans people because, realistically, they're not at fault. It's her fault. But I remember just watching a video of her and a trans guy, and she kind of just sat there and, you know, alluded to the fact that he wasn't actually a full man. He was somewhere in between. And I'm not here to crap on the trans people that have collabed with her or supported her, and I'm sure they've had their reasons for promoting her, none of which I probably agree with, and at least a few of them have come out recently and said that they don't condone the things that she's saying, which I respect. I do respect that. But at the same time, it's like, she has continuously been like this, she has been like this for years, and yet that's not something that you considered. And if you look at her channel, it's clear to see that she is a transphobe. But, understandably, it's a common thing with trans people where we feel like we're not enough. And to be enough, we have to appeal to the community of cis people that, you know, also view us as not enough. And it's for this reason that trans people will put up with the bare minimum of acceptance. I don't agree with you, but I support you, comes to mind when I think of Arielle. There also seems to be this vibe of, like, I'm not like other trans people with the trans people that, you know, associate with her. Like, cool, transphobes aren't gonna hate you any less because you're also transphobic. Honestly, the thought of trans people promoting her, it disgusts me and it makes me feel embarrassed. But, you know, maybe I should give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe somehow they didn't know that she was like this. I think it's pretty clear to see that she uses trans people for views, and also to further the idea that what she's saying is acceptable, because, you know, like, I can be transphobic, but this trans person is here, also agreeing with the things I'm saying. I can't. I have a trans friend. That's not transphobic. Here's something that she tweeted recently. Plenty of people agree with me. Do I need to start with people who can have say in this as well? And she ats for trans people. And this further proves that she is using trans people to make it seem like her behavior is acceptable. This, I have trans friends, so I can't be transphobic, is exactly the same as I have black friends, so I can't be racist. And also she tagged Buck Angel. If you're trying to show that you have trans friends who have reasonable views, he is not the person to use. It just seems like a recurring theme that the trans people she is friends with are insecure in themselves, and that they want to suck up to cis people to make themselves feel accepted, which I understand completely, because I was like that, very much so, at a certain point in my life. Maybe I'm still a bit like that. That's something I need to get over, but it doesn't make it acceptable. Just because it's something that happens doesn't make it okay. And I don't get how they thought it was a good idea to associate with her. Like, do one Google search, look through her Twitter indirects, look at her YouTube channel, watch her videos. It's clear that she is a transphobe. I don't understand. I don't know. Just seeing trans people support her and seeing cis people who claim that they support trans people support her is just genuinely upsetting to me. Like, what are your views? If you can put up with someone's transphobia, then I don't want to associate with you. I think that's pretty reasonable. I don't think anybody should want to associate with someone that's so hateful to a minority group for no reason. And again, LGBT activists, it's not a thing. So those were all my points that I was going to speak about today. I have others that I just got rid of. I don't have the time to speak about it. But again, end of the video reminder, do not send her hate. It is not worth it. Don't interact with her. There is no point. So yeah, that's the video. Sorry if it was a bit much. I don't know how long it'll be, and I'm really sorry if it's like half an hour. I genuinely, I just, you know. But yeah, what I hope you got out of this is that it's not okay to excuse this kind of behavior. We shouldn't have to put up with it. And by we, I don't just mean trans people, I mean cis people that are also in the LGBT community and cis people that aren't in the LGBT community. Arielle, I don't really think you're a bad person, but I think you drastically need to change the way that you talk about trans people on an online forum. I don't know if you know how harmful what you're saying is, but it's harmful. That's the end of the video. Hope you have a good day, or don't. See you later, losers. Bye-bye. There's a punch.